Okay, so it's Keith from the Game Impulse, and today I'm debuting my brand new segment called Injection. This is where I'll give 5 or 10 tips, depending on what I'm talking about, on how to make your video gaming experience much more enjoyable. And so, first episode, I'm doing top 5 pieces of hardware for the Xbox 360. And number 1 is kind of basic. It's going to be a nice hard drive. So if you didn't get the 250 gigabyte hard drive slim Xbox 360s that came out, and you got the 4 gigabyte one, you'll notice you're probably running out of space really quickly. So you can go on eBay or Amazon because they have all kinds of sizes. You can get a 120 gig there, or 160 gig. I believe they even sell, there's 250s, and I even believe 320 gigabyte hard drive. So just get a good size hard drive. Honestly, I'd say the 120 because I'm never going to be playing enough games at the same time to need 250 gigs, but that's a personal preference. Okay. Number 2 is a nice headset. As we know, probably the headsets that come with the Xboxes kind of suck. So you can get a Turtle Beaches, which are synonymous with good headsets. There's also Tritons, which are also really good. Or if you kind of want a good one that's kind of a good budget plan, you can get what I have here, which is an Afterglow. So the button to mute is here, volume's back here. Instead of having the long mic, which is kind of an obstruction over your face, you just have this little chip, and it glows, which is just a bonus thing. But honestly, that might suck up the battery a little bit more. So I mean, if that's not your thing, then I wouldn't. Number 3, I would say, would be HD cables. If you have an HD capable TV, it would be good to get the HD cables. I'm not sure if any of the Slims have HD cables. I know when I had my Halo 3 edition of the Xbox 360, it did have HD cables. And so, you can play in HD, and it makes the viewing experience of what you're watching, what you're playing, so much better, especially with graphics getting so much more vivid without HD. Just like with it, it would be amazing. So I really recommend, if you have a TV capable of that, getting HD cables. And since we just talked about it, number 4 is going to be find a good TV to play on, because different people like different things. I've heard people say that they don't like really small, like box TVs, the 4x3, standard definition televisions, because when they're that small, they feel like they're not getting as much detail, and it's kind of harder to see some of the details. Like if there's a guy all the way across the map in a Call of Duty or a Halo game, you can't really see as well. But then I've also heard that some people don't like huge TVs because then they feel like they're looking at too much. So I mean, it's a personal choice. I'd say, the nice flat screen would probably be good, maybe about 40 inches or so. I'd say I wouldn't really go much above that because that's just obnoxious at that point. And then number 5, which is probably one of the most important things, if anything, you're going to need this, is a good controller. And so you can get a wireless one, like this, which is nice because then you can kind of sit farther back from the TV. You're not restricted in how far you can sit from the TV and your Xbox. But, it runs on batteries, so you have to buy batteries every couple of months to do it. Or you can get a wired controller. A wired controller, again, you have to worry about the battery, but then you're limited. You kind of have to sit closer. There's a couple more high-tech controllers that you can get, made by Razer. There was the Razer Onza, which had a second bumper up here where the right bumper and left bumper are, and you could adjust the resistance on your analog sticks. So if you felt like that you were using too much, that you were having too much resistance on your analog sticks, you could loosen it, or if you felt like you were moving too quickly, you could increase the resistance so that you had a little bit more control. The only problem with those is that because the analog sticks would go out because of the adjusting, so they recently released the Sabertooth, which again, it has the 2 additional bumpers, programmable bumpers. I forgot to mention that about the first one, that you can assign a different button, like the X button to this one, and then the A button to that one. But they had those, except they're in a little bit more. And then they have rocker switches in the back, which is basically you flip, there's 2 of them, you flip it up, and it does one thing. You flip it down, it does another thing, and then there's another one. So in essence, you have 6 programmable buttons. And apparently, what I've heard that it does is it relieves your grip that you have on your analog sticks, and also they're not adjustable, and the D-pads are a lot much more like clicking like a mouse button, more like these buttons than the clunky kind of D-pad things here. So so yeah, that was this top five pieces of hardware for your Xbox 360. So this was you know, Keith with the Game Pulse. This was Injection, and I'll see you guys later.